This is Service to Humanity, and you are welcome to another episode of the program put together to update you on the activities of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, as well as her agencies. My name is Habiba Zakzok, your anchor. Still on our special episode of the program from last week, we shall bring you the continuation of the presentation of the Humanitarian Minister at the 23rd edition of the President Muhammadu Buhari Administration Scorecard, which took place 2 weeks back in Abuja. The Minister, Sadia Umar Farouk, made submissions on the activities and achievements of the ministry since its inception. In this episode, we shall take her presentation on the National Social Investment Program, highlighting the achievements in the various clusters. Details of this and more when the program commences fully after the break. Please stay tuned.
Rayuwa an dan sha matsala amma tun da abin ya zo hannu muna jujjuya sana'o'inmu haka an kulle ma duk mukan yi kuma a cikin haka sai Allah ya fifita kowa ya samu dan abin harkoki ina yi gishiri magi dukkan muna kulla habbar kono duk muna kullawa habbar kono ma mu daka shi mai yajin shi duk ana kullawa da mun gode Allah mun yaba annabi tunda wannan tallafi izo muna mai aya komai da komai yayi tarihi ko sosai tunda duka muna musu wannan makayan makarantar nan ka dinka ka sake ma yaro mun gode gwamnati mun gode mata Allah ya sa kuma ta gama lafiya.
Thanks for staying tuned. The program begins with the Management Diary, where we bring you news on recent happenings in the Humanitarian Ministry as well as from our agencies. On the news, Humanitarian Ministry inaugurates National Technical Working Group for Widows, just as Humanitarian Minister beneficiaries thank Buhari for social investment programs. This and more coming your way shortly. Don't go away.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has inaugurated the National Technical Working Group for Widows and Orphans in Nigeria, NTWG. The event had in attendance directors of the ministry, representatives of relevant MDAs, civil society organizations, development partners and other relevant stakeholders. The NTWG, which is aimed at alleviating the plight of widows and their children as well as orphans and the incessant abuses that are currently ravaging orphanages in Nigeria, was inaugurated at the ministry's conference hall in Abuja. In his welcome address, the Director, Social Development in the Ministry, Mr. Taiwo Ademola Bashorun, expressed the Ministry's delight to network with all relevant MDAs, civil society organizations, and development partners to provide the needed solutions for the enormous problems of widows and their children, and also for orphans and orphanages in Nigeria.
The expectation of this ministry is to network with all most cherished partners and stakeholders in providing a long-lasting solution to the increasing plights of widows and orphans in Nigeria, and to achieve the overall goal of social inclusion and protection of the vulnerable persons in our society, most especially the widows and orphans in Nigeria.
While inaugurating the Technical Working Group, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, who was represented by the Director, Human Resource Management of the Ministry, Mr. Tokumbo Rufai, stated that the group is established to help put in place the needed machineries and structures that will adequately function for social development and humanitarian national response to alleviate the plight of widows and their children, as well as addressing the enormous gaps in the inclusion and protection of orphans and orphanages in Nigeria.
At this junction, it is important to emphasize that we should all be aware of the importance of this assignment. The problems faced by widows and their children and orphans in our society is alarming, ranging from inhuman cultural practices of widowhood, stigmatizations, denial of right of inheritance and poverty, as well as sexual abuse of orphans in the orphanage home. Neglect and treatism of orphans in Nigeria. This calls for prioritized and urgent social interventions for rescue, rehabilitations, and reintegration of these widows and their children and orphans in Nigeria.
He challenged the group to contribute their wealth of knowledge, insight, and empathy to the project as soon as possible and expressed confidence that they would develop a practical model that would direct the ministry in giving them the social support and protections required to help improve their well-being and overall development.
Members of this National Technical Working Group were carefully selected, and I have no doubt that you will carry out the task at hand efficiently. I trust that at the end of this inauguration, the team will immediately proceed to the technical section with the most needed energy and synergy to deliver timely results that will change the lives of widows and their children, as well as orphanages in Nigeria.
Over 200,000 beneficiaries of the National Social Investment Programs flocked to the Lafia Township Square to thank President Muhammadu Buhari for helping the majority of the poor and vulnerable people in Nasarawa State escape poverty. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, who led the beneficiaries, also thanked the president at the rally, which held in Nasarawa State capital. Farouk explained that the total number of beneficiaries of N-Power, Government Enterprise Empowerment Program (GEEP), Conditional Cash Transfer (CCT), and the National Homegrown School Feeding Program have helped the administration to wade out of recession. The minister stated that the NCIP is unprecedented in the history of previous Nigerian governments, adding that the program has helped to alleviate abject poverty in the country. Farouk revealed that N-Power pays 1.5 million youth 30,000 naira monthly. CCT pays 2 million households 5,000 naira monthly. Homegrown feeds 10 million pupils daily, while small and medium entrepreneurs receive collateral-free and interest-free loans from 50,000 naira to 300,000 naira for them to start their businesses.
Welcome back. The National Social Investment Program has proven to be among the greatest tools of empowerment used by the federal government to empower and lift Nigerians out of poverty, in line with the federal government's agenda. From the second part of the report on activities of the ministry at the 23rd edition of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration scorecard, we shall be getting the report by the Humanitarian Minister on the National Social Investment Program, which was designed to address poverty and help increase economic development. Who are the beneficiaries of the various clusters of the program? How many Nigerians have benefited from the program? These and more we shall find out in our next segment. Don't go away.
The National Social Investment Programs, NCIPs, is the flagship poverty reduction program of this administration. It has touched the lives of millions of Nigerians since its creation in 2016. It has been a key instrument in uplifting the lives of the poorest of the poor and providing assistance and hope to millions of Nigerians. Clusters of the NCIP include the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, N-Power, the Job Creation Unit, Conditional Cash Transfer (CCT), and Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program (GEEP). The Humanitarian Minister highlighted the achievements under the NCIP.
The National Homegrown School Feeding Program has 9,990,862 pupils that are being fed in 36 states and the FCT. It has 128,531 cooks employed from the local communities. It has 96 aggregators enrolled to supply cooks with protein used in feeding the pupils. It has local farmers that were engaged to supply locally grown food. The Empower program has 510,000 youth ages from 18 to 35 years enrolled in batch C1, and 490,000 youth 18 to 35 years enrolled in batch C2. They are receiving a stipend of 30,000 naira monthly.
For the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, JEEP, the minister reported that Trader Money has 348,027 registered individuals. Market Money has 382,368 registered individuals. Farmer Money has 412,388 registered individuals. While for the Conditional Cash Transfer CCT program, the minister said that the CCT has paid over 1.94 million vulnerable persons across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT the sum of 5,000 naira monthly, and 355,000 vulnerable persons have received grant for vulnerable groups of 20,000 naira in 36 states and the FCT. According to Farouk, Nigeria has 3 registers of beneficiaries.
The first is the National Social Register, which serves as the building block of the Social Protection Program and currently contains data from 36 states and the FCT, from 748,000 local government areas, over 15.3 million households, and 61.5 million individuals. We have the data of these individuals in the National Social Register. The second register is the Unified Register of Beneficiaries, which captures data of IDPs in 7 states, 94 local government areas, 273 households, and over 1.1 million individuals.
The third register, according to the minister, is the Rapid Response Register RRR, which captures data of urban poor and individuals whose daily income was affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. It was initiated at the peak of COVID-19 in efforts to provide support to citizens whose income was mostly affected by the pandemic. It captures data from 36 states and the FCT, 650 local government areas. About 2.7 million individuals were validated and captured. Elaborating on the NCIP programs, the minister revealed that conditional cash transfer implementation activities commenced in 2016 with 8 states and 3 IDP centers in Borno State, with the CCT being implemented in 36 states and the FCT as at today.
About 2 million beneficiaries receive cash transfers, and over 94% of the households have female caregivers. The federal government of Nigeria funded all components of the conditional cash transfer until 2018, when the utilization of IDA funds commenced. This slide shows the CCT in figures. Cash transfers are delivered to beneficiaries through CBN licensed payment service providers. They operate an electronically managed payment system leveraging market-based solutions. And also it has digitized this payments, which was successfully conducted. New bank accounts opened for all the beneficiaries, about 1.9 million of them, and the funding of beneficiaries' accounts also. It has also distributed and activated the debit card to these beneficiaries, and beneficiaries are cashing out their entitlements at their convenience.
The co-responsibility component under the CCT commenced implementation in 2017 in 11 states, namely Jigawa, Bauchi, Plateau, Niger, Ekiti, Osun, Oyo, Cross River, Kogi, Anambra, and Kwara. It is designed to address deficiencies in human capital development among the beneficiaries. The menu of co-responsibility is focused on health, nutrition, education, and environment. States implementing co-responsibility selected only one out of the menu.
And the objective of this component is to increase children's school enrollment and attendance, to improve utilization of health facilities for ante and postnatal care, child immunization, to improve child nutrition, and to address environmental hazards to improve productive assets. A total of 118,808 CCT beneficiaries in the 11 states earlier mentioned received an additional 5,000 per month, complying to the conditions.
On the Empower, the second cluster of the NSIP, which is a job creation program with graduate and non-graduate components, the minister also revealed that Batch A has 200,000 enrolled youth, Batch B has 300,000 enrolled youth, Batch C has 510,000 enrolled youth, and Batch C2 has 490 enrolled youth. The third cluster, the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, is geared towards social protection, poverty reduction, capacity building, and investment in people. The scope of the school feeding program is providing one free nutritious hot meal a day made from locally sourced agricultural produce to pupils in primary 1 to 3 in public primary schools across the states of Nigeria.
The major objectives of this program are to increase school enrollment, improve school attendance, and reduce malnutrition in school-age children, while stimulating the local economy through the utilization of local agricultural produce provided by smallholder farmers and engagement of local community members as cooks on the program.
Highlights of some of the achievements in implementation of the school feeding program by the minister include an increase in cost of feeding from 70 to 100 naira, commencement of enumeration of pupils by the ministry to verify and validate the existing data of beneficiaries and digital capturing of the beneficiaries, distribution of utensils to participating states to use for the feeding of the pupils, menu standardization, and nationwide cooks training. For the last but not least cluster of the NSIP, which is the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, GEEP, Farouk noted that 1.14 million vulnerable Nigerians have been registered with the disbursement of loans ongoing under the various schemes like trader money, market money, and farmer money.
We have enrolled the services of 7,500 independent monitors across the 774 local government areas to support in monitoring the national social investment programs. We have also received the support of our international non-governmental organizations, Save the Children, and 18 civil society organizations as third-party monitors for the national social investment programs. And these monitors provide additional layer of monitoring for these programs. The ministry also carries out routine monitoring across the country on a quarterly basis. Impact assessments were also conducted on a periodic basis to measure the effect impact of these programs.
In conclusion, the minister stated that the ministry has directly touched the lives of over 15 million individuals and their families, adding that through the commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari, the life-changing programs of the ministry are being institutionalized and continue to receive necessary funding. She then reiterated the commitment of the ministry in actualizing its efforts of promoting human dignity.
With this ministerial press briefing, I want to assure the general public that the ministry will continue to discharge its duties with greater focus on the strategy to lift many Nigerians out of poverty in the nearest future. I also wish to reiterate our commitment to the vision of creating sustainable and inclusive social systems that promote human dignity in Nigeria. Thank you very much for your attention, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
No doubt, the National Social Investment Program is having quite an impact on the lives of the poor and vulnerable. To bring the fact home, we have the story of one woman, Kyauta Uba in Kano, who is a beneficiary of the cash grant to rural women. This intervention has changed the story of her life. Let's hear her story.
Kyauta Uba is a resident of Dangoro community located in Kumbotso local government area of Kano State. She is a beneficiary of the federal government's cash grant for rural women launched in the year 2020. Kyauta is a widow who lost her son, who was the breadwinner of the family. Leaving his 7 children behind, she was saddled with the responsibility of catering for those 7 children. She recounts the challenges she went through.
I am his mother. I am the only one catering for all his children. His wife is very young. After his death, she was taken away by her parents and she remarried, and they had returned the children to me. I was living in a rented apartment before relocating to this place by God's grace. Personally, I am the person responsible for the feeding of all the children. All the same, we join hands to feed them.
In the nick of time, Kyauta was opportuned to be part of the beneficiaries who received the sum of 20,000 naira under the grant for rural women. She decided to use the money to start a business.
When I received this 20,000 naira, I was living in a rented apartment in Tarauni. Now I have relocated here in Dongogo where you met me. Therefore, I thank God Almighty for this 20,000 naira given to me. May God bless the money and give all the benefits that came with it. When I got the money, I really benefited from it. I went into the production of coconut candy and fried tiger nuts, which I distributed to shop owners who helped me to sell them.
Kyauta remains grateful to God for her late son, who gave her a hard-working granddaughter who helps her in making and retailing coconut cheese and tiger nuts to shops in her community.
This son of mine who died was my pillar. He had the fear of God, very sympathetic and kind. He used to help me a lot, but now, despite my old age, I engage in this frying which sometimes bonds me and my granddaughter. She has been helpful to me. Thank God the girl is hardworking. Even as we speak, I am not feeling well because I am diabetic and also have a heart condition.
Despite her challenges, Kyauta still thank God and prays for other people in need to also get the kind of opportunity she has gotten. She also continues to pray to God for long life so as to see her grandchildren grow.
I am highly grateful with the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari. I am grateful to the minister who initiated this financial assistance from which I have benefited. May God reward him bountifully for his benevolence. With all the assistance he rendered to us, I pray that God should protect him and bring him to a successful end of his tenure.
With that, we come to the end of this week's episode of Service to Humanity. Until I come your way again next week, stay safe. Remember, your questions and suggestions are always welcome on any of our social media platforms or the Ministry's page on Facebook or Twitter. Good night and God bless Nigeria. See you next week.